The movie begins in one of Paris's squares with a man named Michael, who is revealed to be a skilled pickpocket. Michael effortlessly steals from people around him without them noticing. Meanwhile, at the CIA office, we see the director, Tom, speaking with an officer named Briar. Tom is upset about Briar's reckless behavior during the last mission. He criticizes Briar for being impulsive, disobeying instructions, and exposing himself to the targets he was assigned to monitor. Additionally, Briar's actions endangered the life of a woman who was helping them gather intelligence. Briar defends himself, arguing that the mission was ultimately a success. However, the assistant director, Karen, points out that while the mission achieved its goals, it cost them an important asset. She shows him a picture of the operative who was killed. In another location, a man named John is assembling a bomb, which he places inside a doll. He discusses the plan with his partner, Zoe, asking her to plant the bomb inside the headquarters of the French Nationalist Party. The scene shifts back to Michael, who visits a man named Papa. Papa buys the stolen items Michael collects and pays him in cash. During this time, Zoe prepares to carry out her mission. Despite being nervous and scared, she steels herself, picks up the bag containing the doll, and heads to the party's headquarters. Using a fake ID, she manages to get into the building. However, when she reaches the office where she intends to plant the bomb, she finds cleaning staff present. Panicking, she leaves with the bag. Later, Zoe calls John to inform him that she couldn't complete the mission because of the cleaners and admits she doesn't want to cause unnecessary deaths. John gets angry and orders her to carry out the plan anyway, but Zoe refuses and ends the call, breaking down in tears. At this moment, Michael coincidentally spots Zoe and notices the bag she's carrying. Intrigued, he stealthily steals it without her realizing. When Zoe calms down, she is shocked to discover the bag is missing. At the same time, John receives a call from Rafi, the gang leader, who insists the bomb must go off to achieve their objective. Michael, now in hiding, opens the bag and is disappointed to find only a doll and Zoe's phone. Suddenly, the phone rings and Michael answers it. He hears John instructing Zoe to calm down so they can discuss the plan. Michael, however, ends the call, sets the phone aside, and tosses the bag into the street, believing it's worthless. Unexpectedly, the bomb detonates, causing a massive explosion. Michael is horrified as he sees people injured and killed in the blast. Overwhelmed with fear, he quickly flees the scene. News of the explosion spreads rapidly. In his car, Rafi discusses the incident with his assistant, Chris, who notes that the bomb went off in the wrong place. Rafi dismisses the concern, confident that their message has still reached the government. Meanwhile, French intelligence chief Jamie holds a press conference where journalists question whether the government will meet the gang's demands or cancel the national holiday celebrations. Jamie reassures the public, promising that Paris will be safeguarded against any future attacks. Back at the CIA office in Paris, they manage to identify Michael through surveillance footage. They discover that he is the person who discarded the bag containing the bomb. Digging into his background, they learn that Michael is an American who lived a normal life with his family until his father died, leaving them in debt. After that, Michael dropped out of school, turned to theft and fraud, and fled to France, where he continued his life as a pickpocket. Briar listens attentively as his colleagues discuss Michael's profile. The CIA learns that they contacted Michael's mother, who said she hasn't heard from him in a long time. She mentioned that Michael calls her every 6 months from a public phone. Based on this, Briar deduces that Michael must live near that street and suggests they apprehend him. Karen insists that the operation must be conducted discreetly to avoid embarrassing the French government, as they would likely object to interference in their internal affairs. The next day, Michael sees the news and learns that he caused the deaths of 4 people. He also discovers that the police have published his photo and are searching for him, prompting him to plan his escape. At the same time, Briar arrives at the street where Michael lives and begins searching for him. Michael gathers all the money he has and prepares to flee, but notices Briar speaking to a neighbor and asking about him. Michael decides to escape via the rooftop, but Briar spots him and gives chase. Michael tries to evade Briar, leading to a long rooftop pursuit before they both descend to the street. To avoid being recognized, Michael steals a jacket and puts it on, then snatches a motorcycle from someone nearby to make his escape. However, Briar catches up and manages to apprehend him. Meanwhile, Rafi calls John to ask about Zoe. John tells him that she's scared and has fled. Refi then inquires about the man whose photo appeared on the news, wanting to know if Zoe recognizes him. John explains that Zoe was shocked when her bag was stolen and never saw the thief. Refi and his men arrive at John's house. Realizing their intent, John quickly warns Zoe that they are coming to kill her. He helps her escape through the back door, and Zoe runs into the street and flees. At the same time, Briar interrogates Michael, asking about the organization he works for. Michael insists he's not a terrorist and explains that he stole the bag without knowing it contained a bomb. Briar doesn't believe him and warns him that lying won't help. Michael tries to convince Briar that he's just a thief, not a criminal mastermind. Briar then asks about the bag's owner. Michael explains that he saw a girl in the street and stole the bag from her. He also admits that he kept her phone and overheard someone calling her by the name Zoe during a phone call. Briar points out that Michael didn't appear on surveillance cameras while stealing the bag. Michael explains that he deliberately operates in areas without cameras and sells stolen goods to a specific buyer. Briar acknowledges that Michael seems like a professional thief, noting his clean record without any prior reports against him. Michael is surprised when Briar unchains him and leaves the room. At the same time, Refi and Chris track Zoe's phone to locate her and eliminate her. At the police station, Jamie learns more about Michael and his background as a thief and scammer. Back with Briar, he tests Michael's skills by asking him to steal his wallet. Michael hesitates at first, admitting it's the first time someone has ever asked him to steal something, which makes him nervous. When he finally tries, Briar catches him and points out that the wallet is still in his pocket. Michael laughs and explains that he stole the wallet the first time he approached but returned it the second time, without the money. Impressed, Briar confirms that Michael is a skilled pickpocket and tells him to sit back down. Before sitting, Michael secretly steals Briar's small knife without him noticing. As Michael sits, Refi and Chris arrive at the building where Briar and Michael are located. Refi knocks on the door, and Briar answers. Refi claims he has a delivery for a girl named Zoe, but Briar responds that he must have the wrong address. Meanwhile, Michael cuts through his restraints and escapes the room. As soon as Refi sees Michael, he and Chris attempt to break into the house, but Briar attacks them fiercely. Refi lands a strong blow on Briar and then escapes with Chris. Michael takes advantage of the chaos and manages to flee as well before Briar can catch him. Later, Briar calls Tom to report that Michael has escaped and insists that he must find him by any means necessary before the French police discover their unauthorized actions. At the same time, Jammer meets with Karen at a restaurant and tells her that the police found an apartment with a secret interrogation room. He suspects the incident might be connected to the American intelligence agency. He asks Karen if she knows anything about the suspect in the bombing case, but Karen denies knowing anything and claims they have no connection to the discovered apartment. Meanwhile, Refi gathers all the gang members and explains a plan to distract the police so they can rob the bank. He informs them that the money will be distributed equally among them. Later, Jamie is in his office and learns from his assistant that explosives have been found in one of the Islamic centers. Jamie orders the officer in charge of the operation to be summoned, and it is revealed that Refi is the corrupt officer leading the operation. Refi uses his position to carry out criminal activities. Jamie discusses the raid on the Islamic center with Refi, reviews the arrangements, and then leaves. Shortly after, the police raid the center, and one of the officers discreetly plants explosive devices in the ceiling of a room. He then reports finding explosives in the center. The police arrest everyone present, believing they are behind the threats to destroy the city. This allows Refi to successfully distract the authorities. Meanwhile, Michael goes to a man named Barber to hide but discovers that Barber is cooperating with the police and has reported him. Michael manages to escape through a hole in the wall and heads to the street. At that moment, Refi orders a sniper to shoot and kill Michael. Suddenly, Briar appears, rescues Michael, and escapes with him in a car. At the same time, Zoe seeks refuge with her friends to hide from the gang. Briar gets a call from Karen, who informs him that explosives were found in the Islamic center. Briar tells her that the two men who attacked him at the house are not Muslims and suspects this is a diversion created by the gang. He also informs her that he knows where Zoe is hiding, based on information he retrieved from her phone, which Michael had. Briar and Michael head to Zoe's hideout and speak to her friends, but they refuse to cooperate and set Briar's car on fire. Zoe and her friends flee the scene. Briar and Michael then steal a car from someone on the street and discuss their next steps. Briar shows Michael pictures of Zoe's friends and identifies her closest companion, who works at a bar. They head to the bar, where Michael uses his skills to pickpocket someone's phone and discreetly slip it into another person's pocket. This causes a commotion when the person realizes their phone is missing, leading to a fight. Zoe's friend tries to intervene, giving Michael the opportunity to steal his wallet and obtain the address where Zoe is hiding. Briar and Michael head to Zoe's friend's house and search for her. Suddenly, Zoe appears and grabs Michael, holding a knife to his throat. She threatens Briar, saying she will kill Michael if he comes any closer. Briar quickly disarms her and calms the situation. He questions her about the location of the second bomb and speaks to her gently, assuring her that she doesn't seem like a terrorist. He believes someone has manipulated her into this situation. Zoe admits that the person who gave her the bomb is named John. Briar takes her and Michael to find John. On their way, Rafi spots them and starts shooting, but Briar manages to evade him. Eventually, they arrive at John's house. Zoe is devastated and overwhelmed with grief when she sees her friend's lifeless body. Meanwhile, Briar confronts John and notices a distinctive tattoo on his arm. Searching through John's belongings, Briar discovers that John is a police officer. He immediately contacts Karen, informing her that the gang is made up of corrupt police officers. Karen decides to alert the French government. The next day, Karen meets with Jamie and tells him about the corrupt officers orchestrating all the chaos, including planting the explosives at the Islamic Center to manipulate the public into protesting. She also reveals that Briar has 2 witnesses to back up her claims. Jamie convinces Karen to call Briar so the witnesses can be handed over. However, after Karen ends the call, Jamie shoots and kills her. It's revealed that Jamie has been behind everything from the very beginning. He contacts Rafi, giving him Briar's location and instructing him to capture Briar, Michael, and Zoe. Rafi sends his men to carry out the mission. Once in the car, Briar notices that one of the men has the same tattoo he saw on John's arm. Briar launches a sudden attack, engaging in a fierce fight. With help from Michael and Zoe, he defeats Rafi's men. They commandeer the car and escape. Briar contacts Tom, who is surprised to hear from him. He informs Tom that Karen never returned after meeting with Jamie and suspects Jamie of being the mastermind behind the entire operation. Tom doubts him, mentioning that Jamie is currently holding a press conference to announce the police's heightened security measures for the French Federal Bank amid the citywide riots. Briar deduces that this is part of Jamie's plan to have corrupt officers rob the bank under the guise of security. Frustrated by Tom's disbelief, Briar ends the call. Meanwhile, a helicopter lands on the bank's rooftop, and Rafi and his men begin infiltrating the building. Inside the vault, Rafi uses a flash drive to steal a massive amount of digital currency. Briar, now disguised as a police officer, enters the bank and neutralizes 2 of Rafi's men, taking their weapons. A gunfight ensues as Rafi's men spot Briar, and Michael and Zoe hear about Briar being cornered via the police radio. They join the crowd of protesters outside, inciting them to clash with the police. This creates a diversion, allowing them to break through the bank's entrance. Inside, Briar confronts Rafi in the vault just as Rafi retrieves the flash drive. Briar points his weapon at Rafi and demands his surrender. However, Chris, one of Rafi's men, throws a grenade toward Briar, sparking another firefight. In the chaos, Briar disappears, only to ambush Rafi and Chris later. Briar overpowers Chris and retrieves the flash drive. Meanwhile, Michael takes the flash drive and hides among the protesters. When Rafi realizes what has happened, he chases Michael, eventually catching Zoe and using her as leverage. Rafi threatens to kill her unless Michael hands over the drive. Reluctantly, Michael complies, but as Rafi prepares to kill him, Briar intervenes at the last second. Security forces open fire on Rafi, killing him. Michael escapes with the flash drive, and Zoe tends to Briar, who is injured but assures her he's fine. The next day, Michael meets Jamie at a church, where Jamie offers him a passport, money, and a plane ticket in exchange for the flash drive. Michael agrees and hands it over. However, as they leave the church, Jamie raises his gun to kill Michael, but Briar arrives just in time. Briar threatens Jamie, who tries to shoot Michael, but Briar shoots Jamie first. The police arrive and arrest Jamie. Briar checks on Michael, revealing that he had been wearing a bulletproof vest. Outside, Michael hands the flash drive back to Briar, who had secretly stolen it from Jamie. Briar offers Michael a chance to work with him, encouraging him to start a new life. The film ends with Briar and Michael walking away, ready to begin their new journey.